Guys, Chris Buggy here with your esports report update, and I am joined now by the new member of OpTic Gaming, who was on it before, and he's back. We have Mr. Scumpy on the phone. Scump, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm good, sir. How are you doing?
I'm a little bit blown away by the recent news here. Twitter caught us all off guard. I was pulled out of a meeting for this one. You announced that you're leaving Envy to rejoin OpTic. We'll talk about that move in just a few seconds. But first off, the fans, they need to know, why did you want to go to Envy in the first place? What was going through your head in that first move?
Well, NVS obviously has two former OpTic members that I've teamed with in the past. I teamed with Proofy or Jordan back on Leverage in my Black Ops 1. We won a couple events together. And then obviously Joey or Merc, I teamed with him for a really long time, actually on OpTic. So when they approached me, it all seemed so tempting. Obviously, I had a lot of anger built up inside of me, and that just made it even more tempting. And I saw a lot of potential with that team, playing with my two really good friends. And then Goonjar, a really, really solid player that's been coming up through the years, getting better every year. So, you know, the offer just looks so tempting. And me being, you know, who I am, I sort of jumped out and grabbed it. And I think it was a little bit of a mistake and a rash move, an unthought out move.
Well, you guys looked pretty strong when I was watching you this weekend in the 2K. You made it to round 3, and then you had some Xbox issues. Anyone who was watching your stream saw your Xbox literally freeze twice in that series. You ended up dropping to Denial, but did you feel you were a pretty strong team with Envy? Do you feel like you could have been Call of Duty Championship caliber?
Oh, 100%. I felt that. Actually, the 2K before this weekend's, the last weekend's 2K, we made it all the way to finals. The thing with Envious was our respawn game was like tip top. Like we in the 2K before this weekend's, where we went all the way to the finals, we didn't win a single search, and we went to the finals and played against Complexity, and that is saying something. You know, in best of threes, where you can win 2 game types every single series and just lose the other one and still make it to finals is pretty remarkable. So Envy was a really solid team. I see the same potential as I saw with Envious with this new roster for OpTic. So I'm really, really looking forward to making the move. And the new OpTic roster, Search and Destroy, you know, setup on paper looks really like a really strong Search and Destroy team, and SD wins championship. So.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about this. The last time you played on OpTic Gaming, that was with Big Timer right before he finished his competitive career. Then we saw you leave. That led to a number of changes on OpTic. Saints was on there. Ricky left for a moment. Now we have, and Parasite was there. Now it's Clayster, Nadeshot, you, and Mr. Embos. What made you want to join this OpTic squad and be their 4th member?
Well, I was watching yesterday, and I saw them playing against Complexity. And one of the big problems with OpTic before I left was that our respawn game was, you know, it was good, but it wasn't as good as some of the top respawn game teams or respawn teams games. And then the Search and Destroy was pretty much on the same thing. So we were average at every game type, and certain teams have game types that they're very, very good at and excel in, and that's what carries them through tournaments. Now with this new OpTic team, I see potential in literally every single game type. There's different roles and different players that go off in every single game type, leaders in every single game type that can call shots. So I just feel really, really confident as a whole. I just feel like the OpTic team is a lot more well-rounded now with the new roster that we have now.
And who are you most excited to be teaming with for the first time? Is it Embos or Clayster?
Clayster. Clayster's actually been a really long-time friend of mine. Don't get me wrong, Embos has too. But me and Clayster go way, 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 way back. And I think it's going to be really cool to team with him. Obviously, he brings the hype, and I'm a player that plays off emotion and hype. And I think I started to show that a little bit at UMG Philly, more than I have before while I've been on OpTic. I was screaming and, you know, carrying on. But I think with Clayster on the team, just his intensity that he brings is going to bring my game up a lot while I'm at tournaments, just because of the sheer fact that I'm going to be, you know, raging on stage pretty much.
Raging with Clayster. I can't even imagine the two of you screaming at the same time. Scump, I know a lot of people are still trickling in from Twitter, so we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have part 2 of this interview. OpTic Scumpy will be back to tell us about his new lineup. Welcome back to the breaking news here on the Esports Report. If you guys are just joining us, Scumpy is here to announce his new lineup as he's left Envy to rejoin OpTic Gaming. He'll be playing alongside Nadeshot, Clayster, and Embos in our Winter Invitational, as well as the Call of Duty Championships. And Scump, $1 million tournament is just 2.5 months away at the end of March 28th to the 30th. You basically had to make one final decision in your prep for this. You're back on OpTic, and we just talked about how excited you are to play with Clayster. Now, I want to see how you think this team stacks up with everyone else that's going to be competing in the Winter Invitational that kicks off this evening. We have Complexity, the #1 team in the world right now. Strictly Business, who's Censor, Apathy, Fears, and Saints. Envious, who's Merc, Gunjar, Proofy, looking for a fourth, and Rambo as a sub. And then on OpTic, we, of course, have your new squad: Curse Las Vegas, Parasite, Kill Miracles, Ricky, Curse New York, Revan, Burns, Mochila, BL Fire, FaZe, Replays, JCap, Classic, and Nameless, and then Caliber, Sharp, Theory, Neslo, and Formal. Whew. Did you get all of those 8 teams? Where do you think OpTic stands amongst those squads?
Obviously, I can't really say much as we haven't played. I wouldn't have joined the team if I didn't think that there was championship potential there.
Okay.
So I do think that we can take down any team in there, Complexity even. I feel like it's all going to come down to practice and preparation. And I think that we can beat anybody, to be honest.
Well,
I think we can take it.
Tonight it kicks off at 6 p.m. Eastern. That's just about an hour and 15 minutes away.
Yeah.
With OpTic Gaming going up against Strictly Business, who has Saints back on that lineup after he left OpTic, making room for your seat. So this is going to be a little bit of a rivalry right off the start here. How confident are you in that first matchup against SB?
I mean, I'm always confident going into a game. You know, everybody is going to say, and I'm going to go off track a little bit here. Everybody is going to say that every person that joined OpTic and left OpTic or was booted off OpTic now is a rivalry. I don't really see it as that.
No?
No.
Does OpTic have any official rivals now?
I would just say, you know, Envious, because Envious has always been an OpTic of rival. I mean, OpTic of rival, a rival of OpTic. You know, that's always been there. That has just been the history of the two teams, you know, both on Eon, the brother and sister teams. So,
okay,
brother, little brother, whatever you want to call it. We've just always, you know, butted heads and always been competing with each other. But other than that, I mean, obviously Complexity is the top dog. You want to beat them. But I'd say the rival, like the actual considered rival, would be Envious more than, Envy.
Now, I know you hate losing almost as much as you love winning, if not more.
Oh, I hate losing more than anything in the world.
Who would you hate losing to the most out of those 8 teams competing in the Winter Invitational?
Damn. Whew. I'd say either Envious or FaZe.
Really?
Yeah.
Why FaZe?
You know, obviously the whole YouTube thing, OpTic FaZe, that's always been sort of a rival as well. It was one of the most heart-wrenching losses I've ever had to go through whenever we lost to FaZe at UMG Philly. Obviously, we went up 2-0, then lost 6-5 in the last Search and Destroy. So, and that was after JCap had been released and went to FaZe. So, you know, I was pretty mad about that. I don't really say that I want my revenge, but I definitely want to beat FaZe, and I would definitely be infuriated if we lost to them. Or Envious, like I said, they're always a rival of us.
Well, speaking of Envy, currently they do not have an official 4th starter. A lot of people out there on Twitter are saying, bring back Rambo or bring back a Canadian player and compete through the Canadian qualifiers. Make the road easier for you. Envy, especially with you on that squad, was looking, I had it in my top 2 in the last esports report. Who do you think needs to go on to this Envy starting lineup? Who would be the strongest pickup for them?
Well, you know, in the easiest way, the easiest thing to do would just pick up Rambo. I mean, obviously Ray is a really good player, a really smart player. He's always been a veteran in Call of Duty. If they're looking for, you know, the easiest switch, just go back to Ray. I mean, why not? You know, he's a really good player, and he stepped down for me, so why not just pick him back up? But you know, I really don't see them picking up anybody else. To be honest, there's not a lot of time left. And Ray just seems like the best, easiest, you know, just the easiest switch. You don't have to pick up a new teammate. someone you're comfortable playing with. It just seems like the easiest switch they can do.
And do you think the Envy guys, going back to kind of the rivalry, do you think they are now going to be gunning for OpTic more than any other team? Do you feel like you left on good terms, or is it going to be a little bit shaky?
I left on good terms with most of them. I don't really want to go into that.
Okay.
But it's definitely going to be a heated matchup. Every time roster changes happen that are like this, it's always a heated matchup afterwards. There's no really escaping that. There's always that want for revenge, just to be like, yeah, you made the wrong decision. You went to the other team when you should have stayed with us. So.
Well, I know there's been a lot of storylines in the last 3 weeks. You've been a part of 2 of the major ones. First to Envy, now back to OpTic from Envy. Welcome home. And we're excited to see how the Green Wall plays tonight. The Winter Invitational is kicking off at 6 p.m. Eastern, and you're playing against Strictly Business. You have a second matchup that night as well. Where can people watch you guys play tonight, Scump?
We'll be streaming on the MLG OpTic channel, as well as my personal MLG channel, I believe.
MLG.tv/Scump.
Yeah, MLG.tv/Scump is the link. I'm not 100% sure on the OpTic channel on MLG being streamed, so I would just check out Nadeshot's Twitter, the OpTic Gaming Twitter.
We'll confirm that a little later.
And Bose's Twitter. Anybody on OpTic's Twitter that has to do with the competitive team, you'll be able to find out information more than likely. So.
Well, I know you have an extremely loyal fan base. Is there anything you want to say to all of the fans who have been watching you all this time?
I appreciate all the support. Obviously, this has been a really rough patch for myself as well as OpTic Gaming, and we're looking to turn things around and bring home a championship.
Well, best of luck. And guys, if you want to see OpTic, of course, you can catch them. We just talked about it in the Winter Invitational. Here are all the matches that will be kicking off 6 p.m. Eastern. We go all the way to midnight. So we kick it off with Strictly Business versus OpTic. And then you're going to see Curse Las Vegas going up against the boys in Complexity. That's going to be an epic battle. And after that, Scumpy and OpTic taking on Curse Las Vegas before Complexity and Strictly Business close out our night. It is the first night of the Winter Invitational. Make sure you check that out exclusively on MLG.tv. I'm Chris Puckett. Thank you for tuning in for our breaking news with Scumpy. We'll be back on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, as we do every week with the Esports Report.